Mike here, welcome to another episode of TA Outdoors. I am back at the Bushcraft camp and today I'm going to be testing the cheapest survival kit on Amazon. Not just going through the kit like you do see some videos of people at home, but actually real life testing them here in the woods. I'm going to be spending the night here on my raised bed that I've built, and I'm going to try and test out as many of the items in here as best as I can. And hopefully by the end of the video you'll get a good idea as to how good these cheap kits really are. I've arrived a little late. It is 5 PM, but it's summertime, so I've got plenty of time this evening to be testing out these toys. Before we look at the kit, I should mention how much I spent. This cost me around about £20. It was on offer at the time, and they used to be kind of 5-6 years ago around about £10, but because of the cost of living and inflation and things like that, they're now around £20. Either way, they all seem to be about that ballpark. This just happened to be the cheapest at the time. Moment of truth. There we have it. Let's go through each individual item. An emergency Mylar survival blanket. I have used these before. They're supposed to retain up to 90% of your body heat, and they are windproof. They're actually a very useful survival item. I'm glad that's the first thing that came out. This looks like, I think this is a tourniquet. Yep, it looks like a tourniquet. Comes clipped in the old seat belt like that. Push the button, releases it. Take it out, and then you would wrap this around your arm or leg, wherever you need to cut off the blood supply. Plug the seat belt back in, and then ratchet down on it hard, and it pulls tight to stop blood flow. I don't want to be going too tight, but yeah, that's basically what it's for. And then push the button there and it releases it. So to be honest, it's nice to see that in the kit. Only a certain amount of stuff they can put in these. So tourniquet, let's have a look at the next thing. This looks like a flashlight, a small little torch. I've taken the battery out of my head torch because I noticed it looks like it was a AA, and it was a AA battery. I'll just show you here. This is where the battery goes in. Yep. So I put my head torch battery in there. It feels all right quality, to be fair. Reasonably heavy, reasonably well made. There is a belt clip there, which feels relatively strong. Does it work? Yes. Flashing mode. High power. And that's it. I think if you lightly press this, yeah, it goes through the modes. So there's 3 modes. High power, low power, flashing mode, off. Oh, and it can do this actually. That bit extends and retracts, and it changes the beam, so you can get a narrow beam and a wide beam. That's quite useful for a small torch. I like that. Yeah, that doesn't feel too bad. It's not going to be the brightest, but for a small kit torch, that's not too bad. See, tonight, we'll use that tonight. These are loose already, these screws on the back here, and the clip, so we'll have to get that fixed. Next, that, to me, I'm drawn to that, is a knife. That actually feels like quite a good quality knife. It's heavy, it's well built. I guess it's anodized aluminium coated blade, but it's anodized. It's definitely heavy. Actually, what type of knife is this? Is it a flick knife? Wow. Does that lock? Ooh. Do you know, I don't reckon that's UK legal. I'm laughing because it's a bit pathetic, some of our laws, but that, to me, I know it's got to be a 3-inch cutting edge. Now, I'd argue that the saw is a cutting edge as well, because that section there, the blade, is not 3 inches, that's 2 inches. But overall, it's a 3-inch blade. And that locks. I'm almost 100% certain this is an illegal blade to carry in public in the UK. I don't think you'd be able to carry that in public. I'm on private land, so it's a little bit different, the law. You know, I have reasonable cause to be using it. I'm out here going to be using this knife to hopefully get fire going, I guess. But That's interesting that it never mentions that on the Amazon description. I'll link below the description the place, the Amazon store area that I bought this knife from, but that is, you wouldn't be able to walk out in public with that because it locks, and that is one of the UK laws. Don't what do they say? Don't shoot the messenger, guys. You know, I know it's a bit of a ridiculous law. We have high knife crime certainly in our cities, in London in particular. I think the irony being is that you can walk into Tesco, like a supermarket, you know, any supermarket in the UK, and you can buy a kitchen knife that's got a 12-inch blade. It's kind of crazy, the laws, and it must be impossible to police, really, because knives are so easily accessible. I mean, look at that. Like, that's just come on an Amazon kit thing. Now, it did age verify when I bought it, so you have to be 18 or over to buy it. But that's really interesting. I'm really surprised they have a fixed blade in the kit. But I guess it's you know, it's for use on. It's up to the user, isn't it, how to use the knife and ensure they're using it responsibly. But to me, that is certainly illegal in public in the UK. Besides that, it feels like quite a good quality knife. The blade is sharp. Often they come blunt, but it's a sharp blade. Convex grind, and I don't know really if you're going to be cutting much on with a saw bit. We'll try it. We'll give it a go. I'd say it's 3mm widest at the widest part of the tang. It's got a nice belt clip. I mean, it's a nice knife. It feels quite nice, to be fair. Overall, it's not a bad knife. So this bit here, you might be able to see that. There's a small blade hidden inside there. That's a seatbelt cutter. For if you rolled your vehicle, you need to get out, your seatbelt's locked, it's not coming undone. You'd hold that onto the seatbelt and pull it, and it will cut the seatbelt. So that is a useful thing to have on a knife. And there's a glass breaker there, which I think is useful as well. So you'd hold it like that and smash that against the glass, and it should shatter the glass of your car windscreen if you are trapped. Like I say, you're trapped and you need to get out of your car. To close the mechanism, you just push this lever over here, and then it folds on itself. Okay, let's see if we can put a point on this stick. Obviously can only really use that top 2-inch section. And it's pretty sharp out the box, I've got to say. Makes a point on a stick, no problem. Slightly thicker stick. Just going to make a little notch, because that's the type of stuff I would do if I was going to make a tent peg, a tent stake. It's a dead piece of wood, so it's not the easiest in terms of, it's going to overcut and snap possibly. It's nice to use, I have to admit. It feels a lot better than I thought it would. Doesn't feel cheap. In fact, you'd probably pay £20 for this knife alone, I would say. I've made a notch there, and if I was bashing this in the ground, that bit's quite annoying. So let's test the saw. Cuts it. Cuts it all right. Bit fiddly. There you go. It's flattened it off though. I've never been a fan of knives that have the saw section there, because it's so short, and with saws you need a nice, at least 6 to 8 inches of sawing motion. To have just an inch of a saw, in my opinion, it's just pointless. I'd rather have a full, much more length of the blade. You just get a bit more, you can slice across, I find, so much easier. There's a tiny bit of play to the side. I wonder if you guys can see this. I'll be able to see it if I wobble it. See that? There, I'm wobbling side to side. That is concerning. It looks like there's a little, or is that for the handle bit? I think I can tighten it there. Obviously, it's not supplied in the survival kit. That's a tool that I've got to find at home. But that play would worry me. But every time I'm doing this, I can feel it slightly play a bit. So I've got these two old pieces of pine which I'd cut, well, probably a couple of months ago now. You can see this one's a bit rotten. But I'm going to use that as a batten. We're going to try and batten and split this wood. Again, another type of task that I would use out here in the woods for an overnight. It's only, again, this is where it's annoying that it's not a 3-inch blade, a full 3-inch blade. I'm working with 2 inches here. So that's the maximum here that I can split through that. But it battens pretty well. I'm actually quite impressed. That made really light work of that. It's only pine, so it's softwood, but it handled it no problem, given it I only had 2 inches of blade to work with. Wobble, like I say, that's the concerning bit. The blade itself is still razor sharp. What's another task I would do? Well, we've got to get fire going tonight, so there's the start of my fire. This is really, really good, sappy wood. It smells incredible. That is actually not too bad at all. You know, it makes really nice ultra fine curls, which is all you need of a knife. I would make them slightly differently with a different bevel, but look, loads of really fine curls there. So that should, with a normal kind of fire steel, certainly with a match, and a lighter, that would get a fire going no problem. Hopefully there's something in this kit that will be able to get the fire going, but we'll keep these and put them near the fire now. I'm like a kid at Christmas opening a present. What's next? Let's have a look. That looks like a wire saw. Let's put this to the test. There's two holes here. They're just split rings. I think that you can put your fingers through, but I reckon that would hurt your fingers quite a bit. So we might have to find a few small sticks to place through these holes. Interestingly, there's some big old barrelized swivels here, which could be reused for fishing as well, which is nice to see. And yeah, it looks like 3-strand wire wrapped together, and they've got little rough bits on the edge of the wire, tiny little rough, almost hairs, which is obviously to act for the cutting. You probably would, the camera won't pick it up, I doubt, but there's tiny little rough edges to the wire. That's the length of it. I reckon 18 to 20 inches, probably about 20 inches long. Could be used as a snare wire, I suppose, but with that, as it's got that rough friction to it, I don't think it would slide very well for a snare. Perfect. Let's cut that with the saw on the knife. This could be a test for the knife. I worry with these knife saws, putting your hand near them as well when you're trying to saw, because you could slip. That's why I was putting my foot there. Doesn't help I've got a wobbly log. Right, there we go. Not the cleanest, but it'll do. So there's a dead standing pine here. It's only about head height, but this is ideal because it's still got roots. It's got something sturdy to pull against. So I'm just going to wrap the saw around like that, and I'm now going to zoom in so you can see it hopefully cut. it doesn't help that it's springy. And pine sticks. Doesn't like that. Doesn't like that at all. And look. That's the split ring. Wow. It did not like that at all. I think it's because the pine had a lot of, yeah, it's got loads of sap in it, loads of resin. It would probably work on some dry seasoned wood. That's why we test these things out in the real world. It's really bent. There's the difference. Whoops. I do think it was the sap. I do reckon it would cut better than that. Shouldn't be as much resin in this, although the saw's now sticky. Let's just see what happens. Oh, it's hard to keep still. Put all my weight on it. It still sticks, that saw. I think it is the resin. But it needs a proper good vice as well. Oh, the blade just pinches. It gets so far and then pinches, and I reckon that's the actual resin from the last cut I did. I do think it would cut better than that if I hadn't got it covered in it. That was better, which was given its pine. Not going to pull as hard this time. A bit hard without the with the split ring not working very well. Like that. Actually, look, and that split ring's now started to stretch a little bit more, so that could fail on me quite soon as well. Anyway, like I say, I think it got too tarry and too sticky with that first cut into the stump. Back into Pandora's box. We have, let's do this one quickly, a whistle with a key ring. It says it goes to 120 decibels, so I should probably forewarn you, if you have a dog or headphones on, you might want to turn your volume down. That's pretty good actually. Like that. Feels well built. This is standing out to me a lot, so let's take a look. Obviously a paracord survival bracelet. A downside of these when they come in a kit like this, if you don't make them yourself, is if you're a small guy like me and you only have narrow wrists, then it just slides up and down your arm all the time. They're generic for guys with bigger wrists, so yeah, kind of useless for me. It would just flop around. It does have a little whistle there, again, headphone users. Yeah, it's like, kind of like a dog whistle, it's a bit sharper. A compass there, let's see how accurate it is. Usually filled with oil, these small button compasses. I know everyone's probably going to be raging at me for using a phone for the accuracy of a compass, but I know it's pretty accurate at the moment from where it's at. I am facing kind of northwest, just under, well, west-northwest, so it is pretty spot on. These button compasses, it's good to tap them to get them because they can stick as you turn them. This one seems pretty good though. You know if you've got a really cheap one, a not so good one, if you turn it and it just sticks and it doesn't float round. But a good idea is to tap them. I'd say, if you can see that, if you look at the W's on the camera you can see it better, but west is going that way, west is going that way. It's not too bad, to be fair. Always not a bad thing to have. One compass is better than none, put it that way. And on the end of this is a small slot in here, because we have more. In between the buckle here is the world's tiniest ferro rod, or fire steel. You can just make it out, just here. And there's the striker. It's actually got a bolt opener as well, so it's double use, multi-use. I didn't bring anything to open the bottle with here tonight, but this is, let's see if it can throw any sparks. And the answer is no. I've got to get the coating off first. I'm relying on that for a fire. Oh, there you go. There you go. It's pretty shocking to try. The striker, I don't think it's the fire steel itself. There we go. See how many times I have to strike though before I get a spark? That's not... This is going to be interesting trying to get fire going tonight with this. That's the only fire thing in the kit. If you're in a survival situation right now, that would be quite worrying. That's you're relying on. That. So I now can't get any spark off that. What it is. It's just not very good. But you do have a good amount of paracord on here. I think it's 7-strand paracord, which is you know, is fine. It's what I use for my kind of tarps. So I'd undo that, and then this would actually be a good amount of paracord, a good couple of feet for tying shelters down, tying a tarp down, tying sticks together for a shelter, tying a tripod together. We might play with that in the morning, taking that apart, we'll see, and doing something with it. Next up, this looks like a fire blower. Yeah, telescopic fire blower. So the idea with these is that you put the thin part towards the fire when it's going and then blow, and it concentrates all of your air to the base of the fire. So if you have a struggling fire, it pumps loads of oxygen and air into it. They're called like pocket bellows, I think, but I don't think that's really necessary for a survival kit. I guess you could use it as a car aerial too, or some form of aerial. That's where they've got this idea from for the bellows. So you could use it for some sort of communication. If you had a radio device that was broken and you needed an aerial, you could use it for that. But to be honest, I don't really think it's necessary. They are gimmicky. I like using them, they are gimmicky, but I don't think it's necessary. You just use your mouth and have something else replace this in the kit. Next up, we have, what's that? So really small. A fishing lure. I was going to say you don't want a survival kit without any fishing gear. So it looks like there's a one lure. I mean, when I bought this in the picture, I only bought this briefly looking at it, and I think in the picture there was like at least a couple of lures and a lead weight. All I've got is one lure, one hook, and some fishing line, which looks rather thin, probably 10 pounds breaking strain, I'd say. If that, 8 pound breaking strain. But that's not good. One hook. So if I snag that lure, or even if there's bait on that hook and I lose it, I'm done for fishing. There's no way. I'd have to make some sort of primitive fishing hook, which would take me a very long time. So a couple of lures would be better, and I think it is meant to come with that. Someone's just packaged it without those lures. Next up, a carabiner. Just a simple carabiner. It feels cheapy, but I think the thing I do like about it is it's got that lock on it, the twist lock, because these cheap carabiners are renowned for just popping off things when you don't have a lock on it like that. They just open, or something pushes it open, the rope slips out, or whatever you're hanging slips out. So to have that twisty lock on it, a locking carabiner, is nice. It's nice to see, but it is only a cheap one. You're not going to go climbing with that. It's just handy to have if you needed to hang something. What else have we got? This looks like a spork with a sheath. A spork with a sheath. Pretty heavy duty. A knife spork. A knife. I have never seen that before. You can't call that a saw, surely, because it's not sharp. Tell me, just stop putting these in. Why are you putting these in? You're not cutting anything with that. Holes there for snare wires and things, I guess. There's no cutter to it. You could do up a wing nut, potentially a small wing nut with that. Bottle opener again, they love the bottle openers on these survival tools. The knife blade, very similar to the knife blade on the actual knife itself, so I don't think I'd need that. Why would you put that on there? Having to hold a knife blade whilst trying to eat food is interesting. We'll give it a go later. I've got some military food with me, so we will try that. But let's just test the knife anyway for the sake of it. Quite nice curls. There's me knocking the knife, and it's not too bad at making really good curls. I might have to eat my words here. I actually find this easier than the knife to use for feather sticks because I've got a lot more control with my thumb. So much more control. My knife is doing better than my knife for feather sticks. Sun's just breaking through the woods. It looks lovely out there, breaking through the trees. That is not bad for the back of a spoon knife. Oh, nice touch. A whistle on the back of a sheath. Headphone users, you know what to do. I like that. That's surprised me more than I thought. Good, I'd have that in the kit. I like that. Right, next up, there's not much left. Some cordage there. It's just normal nylon, like it's cheap stuff. But I guess that could be used to hang things like the spork, to make just lanyards for things. And you could make a tripod with that and things. So, but it's just cheap cordage, like shoelace, cheap shoelace. I'm not even sure what this is for. Potentially clipping something to your waist through your belt. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm guessing that goes through your belt there, like that, and that would potentially go round. What's that? I wonder if that would go around the lip of a water bottle, maybe? You guys might know. Let me know. I've never seen that before. A split clip that stretches out. I feel like that would go around the head of a water bottle or something. It looks like the same diameter. That would clip into there, and then this would clip to your waist, to your belt, so you can walk around with your water bottle. Let me know what you guys think of that. I've never seen that before. Last item, in a cool little leather case. Feels like very thin, and it is a multi-purpose pocket survival tool. It's made from stainless steel. It does feel heavy. There's a list of everything that's on here. You can pause the screen if you want to, but there's a diagram. I mean, it'd be helpful if they just put all these words on here, but there's a diagram of what everything is on this side. I've just had a look at it, so I can roughly guess, but basically we have a bottle opener just here, there, sorry, the large bit, a can opener on the end there. I don't have a can with me tonight, so I can't really test that. That's what that corner there is for. A saw, where they love their saws on these. That one actually does feel a little bit sharp. We might have to try that. Then we've got a 4-position wrench, so any small nuts that you need to undo, up to probably 5mm or something, 6mm there, you'd be able to slide that over the top. I'll tell you what, I'll show you cutaways of using this back at home on a piece of wood, because I don't have any nuts, wing nuts or anything, or nuts out here in the woods. I haven't got any nuts. But you know what I mean. I don't have any nylock nuts or anything that I'm going to be undoing out in the woods, so I'll show you that at home if I can, if I've got the right size. This one is for wing nuts. So you slide that over the ears of the wing nut as such, and then twist to undo or do up. There's a hole here in the bottom corner. That's for a lanyard hole, and you've obviously got that piece of material, that cordage, in the box itself. These 2 holes here is another wrench, 2-hole wrench, 2-position wrench, sorry. And then this one here is a direction ancillary indication. And I'm not sure, but I have seen these in the past. I think these are magnetized, and when you place them on something light that can float on some really still water, I wonder if that little notch then points to north. I don't know. I've personally never used these. This is the first time I've seen one on here. A direction ancillary indication. It can be used for degrees, I guess, because you've got your north line, your east line, and your kind of northeast line, so you could do a 45 degree off there. It's not going to be super accurate. I don't know. Do you know what? I don't actually know. I'm not going to claim I know. I just have read into it quickly. I'm going to look into it a bit more and see how those actually work. And there is a little measure there with no... It's centimetres, I can see that. But there's no writing on it, or numbers, so you just have to kind of know that that's 1 centimetre, 2 centimetre, 3 centimetres, 4. And a knife there. There's a blade. Well, we can give these two a test. We can give the knife and the saw a test. Cannot imagine this doing feather sticks. There's the blade. You might just be able to see it in the light there. But it's obviously just one bevel, single bevel. Oh, that's not nice to use. Trying to feather stick with a survival card thing. To be fair, it's not too bad. Okay, I've got a better grip on it now. Go Gadget survival card. Tell you what, that is another thing that has surprised me, that I thought would be gimmicky. But it makes feather sticks, so nothing can be too gimmicky if it's making you something that's providing you an opportunity to enhance your ability to get a fire going, especially if it's wet, which is what you do with these kind of feather sticks. Or if it's really sort of damp, you need to get to this dry inner wood. It's a bit unorthodox, but it works. There's my feather stick from the blade on that. Let's test the saw. So I've got to cut that there. Let's cut the spike off. Is there a better way of holding this? Nope. Tell you what though, gets halfway through that and you can try the other side. Come on. Oh, there we go. Whew. That was way more effort than it was worth. So my opinion on this, certainly the saw, is it's nice to have on it, but I think you waste more calories trying to use this than you would just snapping sticks, going around and just snapping sticks in between trees. You'd be better off doing that. You'd expend a lot less calories than having to saw really quickly with that. The knife that made the feather sticks was actually quite good. Yeah, the can opener, I'm going to be trying at home. It looks like it would do the job no problem. Bottle opener is self-explanatory, don't really need that in a survival situation. But everything seems to have a bottle opener these days. I guess it's more for the EDC when it's in your wallet. But yeah, that was the last of the tools. Yeah, that's an empty box. The last of the items. I think it was a 13 item survival kit. So items I've kept out: bracelet, knife, torch, knife, and pocket bellows. We'll give those a go. How I'm going to get this fire going with the world's worst fire still, I don't know, but we'll try. I've used a knife to split down some of that wood to even thinner, pencil thin stuff. So let's try and get a fire going with the knife and the tiny little ferro rod. According to my watch, sunset is at 8:22, and then we've got twilight until 8:59. So we have about an hour and 20 minutes until sunset. So for those that don't know, this is my bushcraft camp. This is my bushcraft shelter and my fire pit. I did a whole series on this, well, I say about 3 episodes on building this. I've made a raised fire pit off the ground and it's full of clay. I haven't used it in a while actually. You can see that pine needles have built up, but it just means that I'm protecting the forest floor, because it's, you know, it's a conifer forest. It's not something that I want to be having fires in on peak summer when it's been really dry. We have had rain lately, which is helpful. But yeah, I feel safer having a fire pit raised off. It also means I don't have to bend down as much. And I've got some pot hangers here for when I've got my kettle and things, but don't have a kettle today. We do have some military MREs. I mean, that is not throwing any sparks. Nothing worthy of starting a fire, that's for sure. Don't do this at home because it blunts your blade, but you can, even the knife's not doing it, get sparks using the blade of your knife. Well, that shows you how bad it is, that it's not even getting a spark off the knife. Look, I can't get any spark. That come out? Oh, it comes out at least. Gives us a little bit more room to work with. Oh. Oh, that's positive. We had a bit more oomph. One more time with the knife, because I've got a bit more grip on it. Maybe it will throw a spark big enough. I doubt it. Doubt it'll even throw a spark. Even if I keep my foot there and pull it away. It's already not hot enough as well, the sparks. And there it goes, fire still, it's gone. It's left the, I don't know where that went. Right, not for worth a try or anything, but let's not mess around. We've had some fun. Folks, this is food for this evening. I said it was military rations. It's from a mixture of German military 24-hour pack, like a combat ration here. This is the chicken and rice. This is going to be my main meal. Then there's a muesli with whole milk, powdered milk from the, I can't remember, Slovenian, I think. Got an isotonic drink and coffee and a creamer. And then to snack on now, some of the Steve Steak Detective explosive pineapple beef jerky, made in Blighty, made here in England. This is great if you ever like your beef jerky and that sort of stuff, your sauces for your meat and breakfast and everything. Check out Steve at the Steak Detective. Good friend of mine. He makes really cool things here in England, and they're all kind of World War II themed. Really good. I'll put a link in the description below. Starting to really like this knife. Right, Steve, how explosive is it? That's really nice. That smells amazing. Wow, 36 grams of protein. That's a good amount of protein. So I've deliberately let the fire go low so I can show you the pocket bellows. Pocket bellows with the small end towards the fire, base of the fire. There we go, that's all I need. About 5 or 6 blows as opposed to quite a bit more if I didn't have the bellows. But they are a bit gimmicky. So it doesn't take long to blow it to flame when you do it like that. But I just think for a survival kit I could still just go, you know, I don't need to pack it, it's here in my lungs. I don't have to, it's not added weight to the kit. So that's my thoughts on those anyway for the survival kit. Right, I've poured water in the MRE. I need to leave it for 10 minutes. The German MRE, the ration, military ration, and we'll let that cook away, then it's ready to eat. They never look appetizing. This one's just yellow. But often they taste alright, and there's tons of calories in them, which after using that little card to saw a piece of wood, I need. Do you know, that's good. That's really nice. Quite a few chunks of chicken, which is nice. You often don't get much chicken in these, but they're small chunks, so it's really nice actually. So other than the survival box and my camera gear, I also have brought with me, not much, a sleeping pad, sleeping bag. There's 2 litres of water, there's one still in my pack, but that's the one I've got through so far with the cooking and things. Then a first aid kit and my bug repellent kit, which has, and I'll put it on now actually, I've already put this on. I've got Picaridin, whatever it's called, Smidge, a few other things here, Nordic Summer, which is like a balm that stinks, it's like tar, but it's good. And then these are brilliant as well, little small citronella candles, which have, wow, they've been in my kit for a while. I don't think that's going to light if I can find the wick. But these are brilliant. I just put these near my sleeping area and they tend to work. So I do it about an hour or 2 before bed. So that's it. Not much gear, minimal gear. Another reason I always bring a lighter. Always. So they give off a really pungent citronella smell. And I just find they help. Hour or 2 before bed and knit next to my sleeping bag. I've also got a hoodie here, which I'll use for a pillow. It's not actually that cold tonight. Going down to, well, I say 13, 14 degrees, so it's really warm. What I tend to do is just fold my hoodie like this, and then fold and roll. Makes quite a nice pillow. And that's sleep setup. Sleeping pad, sleeping bag, hoodie. Getting a bit impatient. Let's test the torch. Ooh. That's on powerful. That's the powerful beam. On wide. And then if I push it forward, that's cool. It's really narrow and obviously quite a bit more powerful. It just magnifies it a bit. But I like that. That's not bad at all. On wide. And then there's that's the battery saver, which is ideal. I'd probably use that more around camp, to be fair, just to see see items and where my tools are and things. And on narrow, it's still just as good there, like that. And then the strobe. I have chipped away at all the pokey sticks on this raised bed when I made it. Oh, sorry guys, that's not very bright. It's comfortable as raised beds can be, because they're not that comfortable, let's face it. I've slept on a lot in the past. Thank God for Matt's AirPods. I've just let burn out now. It's so warm tonight. I actually checked the app and it's 16 degrees Celsius tonight. That's got to be one of the warmest evenings we've had this summer. If you enjoyed the video, let me know if you enjoy this type of video, because there's plenty more survival kits out there to try. I'd like to try a fishing one as well. But anyway, I'm very tired. It's about 9:15 and it's dark now, which is fine because I can get some sleep, hopefully. Right, I'll see you guys in the morning. Morning, folks. A fine morning it is, beautiful morning. There's absolutely no wind whatsoever, and there wasn't much last night. Been in this woodland many times before sleeping, and normally when there's wind, the trees just knock each other and make it so noisy because it's so dense. But last night they weren't doing that, so that was quite nice. Get a quick fire going, have some breakfast, test out the knife again. So, what are my overall impressions of this 13-in-1 survival kit? You've got to bear in mind that I worked this out. I think I paid £20.99. I checked this morning, by the way, it's actually now £29.99, so I got it on a deal. So it obviously goes around about £30 normally. But either way, I worked it out. I paid £20, and if you it's a 13-item survival kit. If you divide that by the 13 items, that's £1.60 an item. So a knife like that is £1.60. Or if it was £30, it's about, I don't know, an extra £2 something for that. For quite a good knife, really. You know, £2.30 or £1.60 when I paid for it per item. All of a sudden, that knife seems really good for the price. You know, okay, something like the wire saw, it might seem quite expensive for that, or for this thing, which I don't know what it is, you know, £2.30, you might think that's a little bit expensive. But overall, these survival kits work out quite good value for money if you get one or two good items in them. So my impressions are, the knife I do really like, except it's not ideal for the type of stuff that I do, and I did put it to a bit of a beating. The only thing I'd say is it would have been nice to have a tool here to be able to tighten it, because that's the only thing that's it's got play now from there, and to have no tool in the kit to be able to tighten that, a little hex key, or star key, sorry, which is a Torx, is it, I think, just would have been nice to be able to adjust it, knowing that, you know, you've got that peace of mind that if it did get loose on you like that, you could just tighten it with something that's in the kit. But overall, the quality of the knife does feel good. It's heavy, the blade is still sharp, not as sharp as it was out the box, but it is still enough of an edge to do feather sticks. So I'm impressed with the knife, I like that, and I'm impressed with the spoon knife. I just wish it didn't have a knife on the end, even though I used it. It's good quality. Again, for £2 or £2.30 with a whistle on the end, I think that's a great piece of kit. This was also quite impressive. I'd pay £2.30 for that, the torch. I do like that. It's small, which is nice. It feels good quality. It's, you know, the buckle needs a little bit of tightening. Again, if I could have a little tool to do that was in the kit, that would be great. But overall, it did the job last night. Sadly, the wire saw didn't cut it for me. Literally, no pun intended. I wish I had not used it on that really sappy resin pine tree to begin with, because it would have been nice to test it without having it getting stuck in that. But I think, given that that failed on me, I don't think that is the greatest wire saw. This, you don't need this in a survival kit, in my opinion. The pocket bellows, I don't think that's necessary. The tourniquet is the tourniquet. Hope you never have to use it, but it's good to have one. Fishing gear I never really tried, and I know there was more lures in the picture, so I got done there. There was about 2 or 3 lures in the pictures, so this is something I need to test down the line. This, I don't know what it is. Maybe you guys do. I thought it's for hanging a water bottle off your belt or something like that. Someone might know out there. Whistle was a whistle. If there's a whistle already on the spoon, it would have been handy to have something else instead of the whistle. It works, it does the job. The cordage was just cordage. I could use it for a bow drill. Perhaps next time we'll do that. But it's not great. It's the really slippery stuff that just falls apart really easily. Carabiner, I haven't had to use it, but it's nice that it's a locking one, so I do like that. This card, hopefully you've seen some clips, the survival card, of things I did with it. It had some good uses. The saw wasn't great at all. The knife bit was good. I was quite impressed with that. And the screwdriver head, obviously you'll see in the clips of me using that. But yeah, I mean, it's flat. It doesn't take up much room in the kit, so I think that's a good thing to have in a survival kit like this. These are a must for me. If you're going to have these in a survival kit, I've used them. I'm not going to open it because once you do, they're impossible to get back in the bag. But these emergency blankets are a godsend, and we'll do something different with this maybe down the line. The biggest failure for me has to be this. Not the wristband itself, not even the compass. The fire steel, which is now gone. I've lost it in the woods because it's so small. It was rubbish. Absolutely terrible. So, and when that's your one thing you're relying on in a survival situation, you want to get a fire going, you know, that's something. I cannot stress the importance of being able to light a fire easily and quickly. That's why the invention of the lighter came around. So I will always have one on me whenever I go camping. I'll always have a lighter in my kit, because it's nice to know that if it chucks it down with rain suddenly and it's middle of winter and it's cold, then I'd rather be able to get a fire going quickly. So I'll always have a lighter as a backup. I appreciate they can't maybe put lighters in here because of laws with fuel and things like that. I don't know. Matches would have been great. It would have been nice to see some matches. But to rely on a tiny 1-inch thin fire steel that doesn't throw very many sparks at all, that is the biggest downfall of this survival kit. And I was a bit gutted, to be honest. So, hopefully, if you guys enjoyed this episode, then maybe next time we'll test out some more survival kits. If you've got some suggestions, throw them down below. But I've seen some good ones that I'm going to test, including one that's like a shovel survival kit, and everything goes in the shovel and things like that. So, hope you've enjoyed the episode. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to get my gear packed up now. I'll probably keep this in my car. I think it would be a good backup thing to have in my car. But I will be adding a fire steel and some matches. Maybe down the line, when we've tested enough of these, I can put together my best kit and my favourite items from each of the kits and try and put them in kind of one box. What do you think, guys? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be creating a playlist, a video playlist on my channel, which is going to be all about survival kit testing. So this is the first video of it. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Mike, and my channel is all about bushcraft, survival, building, camping, and I'm here at the bushcraft camp, and hopefully going to add to this too down the line and do some more camping here. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.